Hello there, folks. This is MJ Knight, opening up Season 7 of Real Features. This is going to be audio only. And I just seen Reckless-Eating's review of the 2016 reboot of Ghostbusters, and oh my goodness, he did not have a heck of a lot of good things to say about this movie, with the lone exception of Chris Hemsworth as the somewhat, I think, slightly absent-minded male receptionist. From what I've gathered from the review alone, it's pretty much what we suspected and what we feared from seeing the trailers, that it's just a big CG green screen mess where the characters have no chemistry, except with Kristen Wiig. You know, from what I saw in the trailers, she seemed to be the only one that was genuinely trying. And I mean this, genuinely trying. But from what I'm gathering, based on what I've seen with Reckless-Eating's review, there's no chemistry, there's no rhythm with the characters. And apparently, they kind of broke their own rules. So they go into this movie saying that the proton packs don't kill ghosts. Okay, you know, you established the proton packs don't kill ghosts, yet they go and kill ghosts, you know, in the movie. So it's like, okay, you're breaking your own rules. So what gives that kind of any grounds for the audience and Joe Public to take it seriously when you can't even stick to the rules that you've already set out? Furthermore, I'm only going by what Matt Zions, I hope I got that right, by the way, good sir. What Matt Zions has said, this movie was much more of a live-action cartoon, very similar to that of the 1980s Ghostbusters animated series, than the original movies. It's not looking good, and, you know, I've not commented on the whole, you know, some people were boycotting the movie because the original four were being replaced by women. Let me just state outright, I did not have a problem with the new Ghostbusters being an all-female team. You know, at the end of the day, if you get a decent cast with a good script, they'll make it decent, and that's at the end of. Now, I'm not going to comment too much on, because again, I haven't seen the movie. I'm only basing, you know, what I've heard. Because, like I say, I did not have a problem with the Ghostbusters being all female. It's not a thing for me, because as long as they churn out a good movie, it's irrelevant if they're all female or male or if it's a mixed team. Is this movie going to ruin people's childhoods? Now, this is the thing where I feel some hardcore fans of the original have kind of gone a little too over the top with. I don't think it's going to ruin your childhood from what you remember about the first two movies, the game for the 360 and PS3, and by extension the animated series that came out from Columbia Studios and Deke Animation, because those movies are not affected. You can still buy them on DVD, Blu-ray, you can still get them digitally. You can still watch them to your heart's content. They are in no way connected with this movie. So is your childhood being ruined? No. No, it isn't. So on that one, the fans of the originals, I think you kind of screwed up on that one. But, you know, that's just me calling it. I had kind of foreseen that this movie was going to be not successful. Not in the way that Sony Pictures wanted, but, you know, Matt Zion pretty much confirmed what I had suspected. Do I have the right to give an opinion or a rating? No. No, I don't. But in all of this, I'm still not going to watch it, because that is the point of reviews. It's meant to give an impression to someone who hasn't seen the movie, so that then they can judge based upon someone else's opinion whether they should go watch it. And also, it doesn't really help matters that apparently free tickets were being given out for this movie, and also being given free tickets in ice cream boxes as well. And I'm like, you really have no faith in this movie. And in all honesty, when you look at it from a writing and logical standpoint, Ghostbusters did not need a reboot. When you look at the 1984 original, with the likes of Bill Murray and the writing geniuses of Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, that first movie is still watched and talked about today simply because they don't make movies like that anymore, where it's an ensemble cast of characters, they all gelled and worked with each other like a solid team, just as they're portraying these, ghost exterminators, for lack of a better description. And I think it was when a time where movie studios had less of an involvement with the movie, and I think it's a sign that directors should be given more creative control over a movie. Because if you look at how Avengers 2 Age of Ultron was done, a lot of the stuff that was done, Joss Whedon didn't have any particular control over that, because the studio got involved and said, no, we want this done. And he had his own ideas and visions of how he wanted it done. And it's a similar thing with Iron Man 2, because Jon Favreau wanted to do an adaptation of Demon in a Bottle, dealing with Tony Stark's alcoholism, but the studio wanted to go another way. And I think this is going to be one of those situations now where you're going to see less and less reboots. Now, if a reboot is done purely for the right reasons, like, for example, when you go back to 2005 and the Batman franchise was rebooted, keep in perspective, by that point it had been 8 years since the last Batman movie, which was Batman and Robin, and that was a train wreck by all accounts. And because they, with comic book movies really starting to have a resurgence in the early 2000s with the likes of X-Men, Spider-Man, and to a lesser extent the first Hulk movie, the only thing I felt they got right with that was the visual effects, but that's just me talking there. And then Batman Begins comes along in 2005, and it's just like, brilliant. This was like Batman the way it was meant to be. But we're getting to a stage now where if a movie performs poorly, it will get a reboot just so it wipes the slate clean. So what happens if that reboot performs poorly? Do you just wipe the slate clean with that one? I mean, Sony were gambling a lot on this succeeding, because Sony have got their own money troubles at the moment, and I'm kind of worried for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie for 2018. And at the moment, Sonic needs all the good press he can get, considering how Sonic Boom the game went. Oof, that game was terrible from what I heard. I will not be going to watch this version of Ghostbusters, or New Busters, as I like to think of it as, because I've been very candid with people offline. This is a movie that does not need a reboot. I mean, I'm hoping to the good graces that Jurassic Park is never rebooted. Same thing with Back to the Future, because those are movies that are timeless classics that stand apart from any other movies that have gone before or after them, because these are well-made movies. And to some degree, Ghostbusters, the original, is a movie that is very well made. You look at the visual and special effects then, they still hold up amazingly well today. But it's not, and this is a thing I find a lot of other studios do, they rely too much on visual effects to be able to sell a movie. What made the 1984 movie work was the camaraderie and the comedic wit and timing. Bill Murray in huge part, because he made that movie work on so many levels. But it was the chemistry between the other actors, and that's a huge thing. And from what I'm hearing from reviews about this movie, nothing works. Not from the writing, not from the acting, again, with the exception of Chris Hemsworth. But one cast member should not be the deciding factor of why you go watch this movie, or any movie for that matter. I got nothing else. So, yeah, in summary, I will not be watching this movie. I will gladly take my $6.50 and spend it on something else. Like maybe Independence Day Resurgence. You know, who knows? I will not watch New Busters. I just think Sony made the wrong choice on this occasion. They pulled their eggs in one basket and it backfired. I think now they should have just let Ivan Reitman direct the Ghostbusters movie that he wanted to do, which was Ghostbusters 3, and everything would have likely been fine. I got nothing else. Yeah. Good night from the night.